Hi, Pat Warner, ex-British heavyweight champion, the first under 100 kilo heavyweight champion. I'm here now as a Time 4 nutrition athlete. Very proud, very honoured. When I was younger, I was a sprinter. I was quick, but I was not Olympic standard quick, you know what I mean? So then I thought, where can I use my quickness? So I played football. So when I started to play at a higher level and I got a little bit bigger and stronger, something on the back of my leg was always twinging, was always popping. I was out for 4 or 5 weeks at a time and I didn't know why, and I loved football. I'd get depressed because I couldn't play, because I couldn't run. And then a friend of mine says, why don't you do some weight training? That'll strengthen your legs. I never knew what weight training was. I went down to a local gym. I was too nervous to ask somebody for help. So I just kind of watched guys train certain exercises, and when I knew they was training the legs, I just copied them. So I copied them, watched what they did. My legs got stronger, played football, but then I saw a group of powerlifters, and one of the guys lifted a certain weight, and I think he was the national champion at the time, and it was try to go for a record at his body weight. When they all left, I went up to lift this weight up, and I lifted it up, and it was very easy. So one of the guys saw me and came back. He goes, oh, which powerlifting club are you from? I said, what's powerlifting? I'm not from a powerlifting club. He goes, do that again. So I lifted it again, and he went, I'm going for a national record, and that's not just short of a national record, and you made it look easy. He said, well, why don't you come to a powerlifting meet and just watch it? I'll invite you. So I went. I ended up lifting more than everybody else in the competition. Obviously, I didn't win because there were no lifts, you know what I mean, as a guest lifter. But then after that, I got hooked, and then I powerlifted for best part of 15 years and just had tremendous success. But I always wanted to be a bodybuilder, even though I didn't know what bodybuilding was. So I just walked around gyms and train and look for bodybuilders, look for the biggest man in the gym and say, how did you get that big? It was one of them. And then a local bodybuilding legend, a guy called Ian Harrison, turned around and says, you've got a decent physique, but you can see that you're participating in other sports. Why don't you just forget about all of the sports and just concentrate on bodybuilding for 1 year, see what it gets you? So I did that, and then I competed. It was the novice Mr. United Kingdom, and I got third. I was buzzing. Third in the UK as a beginner, in your kind of really first show, was a great feat. If you place in the top 3, you're no longer a novice, you become a mister, so you have to compete with the big boys. So I thought, oh, I'm not ready for the big boys just yet, so I took a year out, came back the following year, ended up winning the whole thing. I won my class and I took the overall. And from then I moved on and I qualified for Mr. World at my first attempt, went to New Zealand and got runner-up. You know what I mean? And I went to the Britons, got runner-up, and then just improved every year, and I became the first ever British heavyweight champion under 100 kilo. And I got that elusive British title after 10 years of trying. I always did my local qualifier. I always qualified for the Britons, but I never won my local qualifier, ever. I travelled up and down the country, win every qualifier up and down the country, from Nottingham to Mansfield to Warrington to Manchester, won them all, Leicester, never won in my own town. So for me, being in the best condition of my life, with the best people that support me when I've been in the worst condition of my life, is my greatest achievement. 3 weeks later, I became British champion, and yet it still wasn't better than winning in front of my own crowd who would see me through everything. 11 years of dieting in a row took its toll on my body. Really tired. I wanted to taste some nice food, spend some quality time with the family. For the last few years, I've been itching to get back on stage. Now, anybody who knows me knows I'm a Mr. Motivator. I don't need anybody to motivate me. Once I say I'm going to do something, I just do it. If you tell me to diet for 6 months, I'll diet for 9 months, just to prove that I can do 3 months longer. That's the kind of person I am. One thing that happens to all of us in this sport, we pay at the other end. You know, a lot of years of heavy lifting is going to take its toll, whoever you are. For me, it's about training hard to a certain degree, but it's also about training smarter, because smart wins. I was born in 1965, you do the maths, 55 next birthday, and I'll tell you a true story. Every year, I always set myself a target and a goal to be stronger than I was the year before, fitter, and still do certain things. And since the age of 31, I've never taken a backward step. That's all I can say. There's never a year where I've gone, God, I feel weaker than I was last year. I'm always doing something that I've never done before. I always wanted to have my own exercises. My creations didn't come from being in the gym, came from dreams. I would sleep at night and I always go to bed dreaming. And I'd wake up with an exercise in my head and I'd write it down. Luckily for me, I would hand on heart say 95% of the exercises that I dreamed about worked. And what made me know they worked, because I'd try them on different people and create different things with them. And every time they stepped on stage, judges would say, he didn't have that body part before, he didn't have this before. So, and that's where I got the name from, The Illusionist, because I had the ability to do this. So for me, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, because the sport of bodybuilding is going to be here long after I've gone, and the same basic exercise to build muscle will always be here. But why can't you have your own little twist to things? You know what I mean? Why can't you? You know what I mean? And we've all got stories to tell. I remember in particular, I was getting ready for the probably 99 Mr. United Kingdom, and I was still obviously supplementing my income, so I was working the doors. So I went to work at this particular club, stood on this door. Then the manager came up to me and says, we've got a particular gentleman that'll be coming tonight that likes to drink, we cannot let him in. So they described him, but they didn't describe him how he should have been described. They described him as a fairly large man, and it'd been noticeable when he walked in. He must have been 6'7" and about as wide. So this guy came, so I did the polite stuff, I'm sorry sir, you just can't come in. Management don't want you in. He looked at me and laughed. Never said a word, looked at me and laughed, and then turned around and walked away. Now he's walked away, and I don't think he's walking away because he's not coming in. I think he's up to something. So I'm a little bit scared, I'm a little bit nervous. 20 minutes later it's been, he comes back. I thought, here we go, this is when it's going to happen. I said, listen, I've told you before, I'm sorry, you cannot come in. He's done the same again, laughed and walked away. This has happened 3 times in the space of an hour. He's come back and not said a word. So the 4th occasion now, it's come to the stage where I'm no longer bothered what happens. I'm going to confront this guy and I'm going to call him out. Don't know what's going to happen if I do, but that's what I'm going to do. So I thought, if he wants me to get crazy, I'm going to get crazy. So I took my watch off, I took my tie off, I took my jacket off. I'm saying, then come on then, if this is what's going to happen, let's do it. While I'm doing this, he has a change of heart. He's going, whoa, calm down. The more he's telling me to calm down, the more I'm getting confident now and going, come on then. Because I'm thinking, you don't want me now. And I'm thinking, well, you're going to have me. Anyway, nothing happened. And then he just says, can I ask you a question? I went, yeah, sure, of course you can. He says, how comes that every nightclub I go to, you're stood on the door? He was that drunk, he was just going around in a circle, coming back to the same club. And that's a true story.